Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Tuesday. It's February 6th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And just looking quickly at the daily chart, you can see another inside day here. We closed up from yesterday. Not much movement, just mostly a range day. We did close on the highs. No surprise there. They do that over and over, it seems like. This thing will sell off or whatever, and invariably if not by the end of that day, by the end of the next day, they've taken it all back again. So this market's not selling off. It may not be going higher for the last few days, but it's not going lower either. And you can see we've already started higher today, although this means very little at this point. But this is today's bar. Um, Zoom in a little bit more there. You can see not much to it. And when we flip over to the other chart, you'll see what I'm talking about. And here it is. Um, just another range day. We did get some bounces off the lows today, which gave you some opportunities. A few more opportunities than normal, maybe. Um, but it's just this stuff is really hard to trade. Um, you can't hardly trade this stuff, and you just got to be really, really careful. When you break out of these ranges, you really need to wait. Like here, you need to wait on a lower high, or if it breaks out the low side. Most of the failed breakouts were out the high side. Um, the one good thing about today was you had some consistent lows here. They were consistently down a little bit lower here, and then they rose a little bit, but they were consistent today, so you could actually trade that. And there's a few bounces here that are consistent. Um, which makes that a little easier to trade. But in the middle here, this stuff is difficult to trade, and you just make the best of it. So really, considering what the price action looks like today, there's probably more trades than we've been having lately. So, but let's zoom in. We'll go through the trades, and it won't take long because there's not many today. Um, 7 o'clock came as we're coming off this low here, and just no chance to really trade that. And you get a break, move to a new high, and then you do get a lower high here and a second entry short. You got this channel. This channel's already played out. Now you got one working down. You get the close outside. So that's a second entry short when you're expecting a retest of these lows. We don't end up getting that retest, but still turns out to be a nice second entry short. Quick, easy scalp out of it. And then we're pushing higher yet again. You got a channel here with a break and a new high. No chance to really enter that. And then next thing you know, we've turned lower again. I feel like this has moved a little too far for a lower high, and it's closing on the wrong side of the EMA. So you really don't want to go short there. This is just a first entry. Finally, you do get, this is a double bottom, so this would be a new low. So first entry, second entry, and it's pretty much right off the key entry point there. So that was a nice second entry. It gave you a pretty quick move. Again, no huge move, but you did get a nice second entry there with a chance to enter off this trend down. It wasn't a lot of times these take off and you get no opportunity at all. At least today you did get a second entry on it. And you could, and if you go back, you can look. This would be a second entry here, but this is kind of in no man's land. And if you took that, you got burned. We just came off the lows. Where are you expecting prices to go back to the trend line again? So be careful on these right here. I'm sure some of you got trapped there. But if you did, you just got trapped. It's just, yeah, you could count it as a second entry, but anytime you get that double low there, and because this is just kind of in the middle of nowhere, there's no key entry point there. You're not at the midline. You're not at the trend line. You're not at the EMA. You're just in the middle of nowhere. So it's a good place to get trapped. Just sit tight and wait and see if it comes back to the trend line and gives you another entry, which it does. And then it's a nice little smooth move down. And we get a break finally and a couple legs to a new low. This one was really tempting here as a new low or as a lower high. And it is a second entry. Notice you get a first entry, second entry. It just looks a little congested. And this was your close from yesterday. And notice how we've been bouncing on and off of that. And that was probably our first target because here's the open and here's the close. So you'd expect prices to fill that gap. You don't know for sure that they'll retest this low. They'll probably will, but you don't know that. So you got to be careful with that short right there. And you see it did bounce right off that close. It ends up going lower, but I would just wait on that. And when it makes this new low and you really have a triple test across there, that far away from the EMA, I like going long there. And that is a second entry long. Notice the new high, first entry, and then it turns down. And then when it breaks higher right there, that's a second entry long. And you really don't get another chance to enter that. The higher lows are right into the EMA. And then you're just chopping through here, and I don't see anything there that would interest me short or long. Somebody asked me about this short here. You really need to wait on the lower high, which comes here, and your signal bar is no good. So there's too big a chance this could go higher here. There's no reason. You just can't really risk that right there. So it works, yeah, but next time it won't work. So just be careful with that. You might argue it's green, but you're better off to wait on this lower high, and you just don't get a setup there because the signal bar is no good. But if it were, it would have been a great trade. But notice you get another, this comes back up here again. Wait on the lower high, which comes right here, and that's a nice trade. And you just kind of keep chopping until it drops on down and it goes into this range. And same thing here. I don't think you can really risk this one going long, even though it works, because you made a new low here and you dropped much lower than previously. But you get a higher low right here, and this one takes off, and you might even get a runner on that one. So that's what we want to do, wait on the higher low there. And just while I'm thinking about this, some people don't seem to grasp what a higher low or a lower high is. A higher low is when you make a low and then you make a higher low within a couple of bars there. So as you can see, you made a high here and then you made a lower high within a few bars there. Once it's moved way down here, that's too far. You can't trade that as a lower high. You're just counting first and second entries again. So make sure you understand that a lower high or a higher low is within a few bars, real close to each other. They're not way up, the prices can't move way off and then that be a higher low or a lower high. So make sure you understand that. But prices move on up here and then we're just chopping sideways again. And once again, you got a breakout here, but you need a lower high, which comes here, and actually the lower high is here, and this is another move up. That's that bar. You've moved way too far to be going short right there. But before you get to that, you got a triple test. 1, 2, 3 with plenty of room. There's your entry. You got a higher low here. There wasn't an entry on it because the signal bar is no good, but you just sit tight, and that would have been a nice trade again. And then you're just kind of congested here, and it finally breaks out and goes higher. And notice you got a channel here, close outside, a couple of legs up. It's tempting to take that one, and you might call that a triple test. Problem is it makes a new high there, but it's still basically a triple test. But again, I think you need a lower high, and I marked this as a lower high. Now this one's almost moved too far, but notice there's just 4 bars there, and it makes a pretty good high. I'm almost halfway back, so maybe you take that one. I marked it green. It's real close. Even this I almost don't like as a lower high because it's moved so far. It's moved to the other side of the EMA, which you want to see it on the other side before you go short, really, unless you got a lot of room back to the EMA first. But one of the reasons I like this one is because it shot back below the EMA and tried to push through it and then closes way down here. This broke higher first and turned down. I like trading that on the engulfing bar, really. You could wait till that closes as well. But that's a little aggressive. It's close to being too far to be a lower high. And of course, we drop down, you get a close outside, and you bounce right off that same support line again. So like I said, today you got some consistent bounces. And that's a nice signal bar way away from the EMA. Take that trade and look at it go. Then we start chopping sideways. You get a failed breakout, but here you'd probably want a higher low, and you don't get one. It's way up here. That's too far. The signal bar is no good anyway. Comes up here until I don't know if you can. I mean, that's a questionable if it got a convincing close outside, but you still get a correction. Moves down, close outside, new low, and that takes you into 230. So it's just, this market just continues to be, the only word I can come up with is odd. It's just an odd market right now. They will not let this market sell off. Who they is, I have no idea. I have no idea who's buying it. But somebody's coming in and buying it. They just will not let it sell off. Any sell off is met with buying, and it goes right back up again. So who that is, I have no idea, but somebody's buying it, and no enough people aren't willing to sell it, so it keeps going higher. What causes the market to go up? More buying than selling, and the buyers overwhelm the sellers. What causes it to go down? The sellers overwhelm the buyers. And right now, it's either doing nothing or going up for the most part. And we get these sell-off days, but, by the end of the day, just like here, they buy it back again. Here, we're just up all day. They tried to sell it off early, and boom, there it goes. Same thing here. Tried to sell it off, boom, there it goes. You can't sell this market off. And so just be careful. I mean, obviously, if it's trending lower, go with it. And eventually one day it may not come back, but for now it keeps coming back, and it comes back stronger and higher every single time. So don't argue with it. The market doesn't always trade with rhyme or reason, and it can be out of whack far longer than you can stay solvent. So don't argue with it. Go with where the market goes, trade what you see, and just understand this is hard trading. So if you're struggling finding trades in here, today was easier because, like I said, look at that consistency down here at the low end. And you did get a triple test here. You did get a lower high here. But other than that, that was it. You got a second entry, I think, here or here, somewhere over here. So it was a little, even though it was really sideways, and hard to trade, it was a little more consistent than normal. Because usually this stuff's just jumping all over the place, and there's no consistent lows, no consistent highs. They're like this. They're at a different spot every time, But we did get a little consistency today. It made it a little bit easier, gave you a couple of options that were pretty obvious. And so hopefully you took advantage of those today. But otherwise, it's more of the same. So eventually it'll change, and it'll start trending like crazy again, and then it might, it's coming. It's just a matter of when. So for now, we take what it gives us, and we make the best of it. But don't be afraid on a day like this. If you're struggling and you can't find a trade, and, especially like it was yesterday when maybe you have to wait an hour or two, don't be afraid to just close up and go enjoy your day and take it off, because ending the day with making no money is better than losing money every day. And so if you sit here and you force trades and you end up taking a loser because you're not very disciplined, or you can't find the discipline you need, then you're better off not trading. So don't be afraid not to trade if the market's just not giving you anything, because sometimes the market goes through phases like this where it can be difficult trading, and it'll get easy again at some point, and then it'll get harder again, and then you'll get a different kind of day. Just when you start to get used to this, it'll throw a wrench and start doing something totally different, and you have to get used to that. And that's what's so unique about the market, is it never gives you the same thing over and over. It'll lull you to sleep and then stab you in the back, basically, is what it'll do. So just learn to be patient, learn to be disciplined, and don't be afraid to not take a trade, because there's days, like I said, today's better than what we've been getting for the most part. But there's days where you're just not going to get many trades, and it's going to be difficult to trade. And this is right here, don't get me wrong, this was not an easy day, especially for people that are not experienced at trading ranges. So anyway, Hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.